Located far from prying eyes, these remote testing grounds put some of the world's fastest cars through their paces. Although originally built for endurance testing, this track also makes for some adrenaline-pumping metal-on-metal competition. The high-speed tri-oval will allow you to keep the pedal matted as you strive to maintain perpetual top speed. But keep your eyes on the road, because at 200+ miles an hour, the slightest twitch could turn your exotic car into exotic scrap metal. Pursuing its goal of creating the ultimate road-going sports car, McLaren Cars spared no expense and drew upon its vast Formula One racing knowledge to create the spectacular McLaren F1, a super-light, high-performance car which employs some of the most cutting-edge technologies and materials in the industry. Built on an incredibly strong and ultralight carbon composite chassis, the F1's potent BMW V12 engine, producing 627 horsepower, is capable of propelling this car to a stunning 231 mile/hour top speed, earning it the distinction of being the fastest production sports car in the world. For improved grip and handling, the F1 employs a complex system of airflow management, electric fans, and a brake-activated rear foil, whose combined effects literally suck the car to the ground at high speeds. Carrying a staggering 540,000 pound sticker price, the McLaren F1 is the most expensive production road car in the world. But for drivers that demand ultimate performance and can afford the price, few cars can match either its speed or acceleration. Although founded in 1989, the history of McLaren cars actually began decades earlier, during the outstanding racing career of the late Bruce McLaren. Born in New Zealand in 1937, Bruce McLaren began his foray into automotive racing at the youthful age of 14, when his father gave him an aging 24 horsepower 1929 Austin 7 Ulster racer. Using the old Austin 7, the young McLaren began to learn about racing and engineering. In 1959, he became the youngest driver to ever win a Grand Prix, a milestone which was to set the tenor for the remainder of his career. With the formation of Bruce McLaren Motor Racing in 1964, he and his team began their conquest of Formula One and founded a dynasty which stands to this day. McLaren also dreamt of producing a road-going sports car, but sadly, he was killed in a tragic testing accident in 1970. Yet his dream and the team lived on, dominating the sport and becoming the most successful Grand Prix team ever in 1993. McLaren Cars was formed in 1989 with a simple mission statement: build the ultimate road-going sports car. Drawing on McLaren's rich Formula One heritage and technology base, the company, under the guidance of technical director Gordon Murray and his team, crafted a dream into reality. In 1994, the company launched their first production road car, the McLaren F1. Pursuing its goal of pursuing its goal of pursuing its goal of creating the ultimate road-going. In keeping with its racing heritage and commemorating 50 years of Ferrari history, the Formula One-inspired F50 represents a long line of automotive excellence and achievement. This stallion from the Ferrari stables is a two-seat Formula One race car with very few compromises to make it street legal. Based on the Ferrari 333 SP, its composite carbon fiber body and 513 horsepower engine allows it to reach 60 miles per hour in a blistering 3.7 seconds. The F50's striking personality also affords some innovative design features. With its Berlinetta detachable rooftop, this car can be driven as either a coupe or a spider. It is also the first production car to have the engine and transmission bolted directly to the carbon fiber chassis, making this assembly an integral structural component of the F50. With an extremely seductive look and a top speed of 202 miles per hour, the F50 is clearly the prized thoroughbred of the Ferrari lineup. With a tradition of producing some of the world's fastest and most exotic sports cars, it is no surprise that Ferrari has a rich lineage of competitive auto racing. The legacy began in 1919, when Enzo Ferrari made his racing debut at Parma Bricchetto. His natural talent and racing achievements allowed him to establish a relationship with Alfa Romeo. 10 years later, Enzo Ferrari founded Scuderia Ferrari, which was dedicated to organizing races for its members. It grew to become an official racing team and ultimately into an engineering racing division for Alfa Romeo. In 1947, Enzo Ferrari, together with a few close colleagues and talented engineers, designed and produced their first car. Since that time, Ferrari has produced over 150 different automobiles for both pleasure and racing. In keeping with its racing In keeping with its In keeping with its racing heritage and commemorating 50 years, intended as a new technology and advanced design testbed, the Ford GT90 is the automotive giant's first supercar effort since the winning GT40 Mark III racer of the 1960s. Using an innovative modular engine technology, that permits fusing sections of two separate engines together. The GT90's hybrid V12 power plant can generate an enormous 720 horsepower. Heat from the quad turbocharged motor's exhaust can reach a staggering 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. So ceramic insulation tiles, similar to those on the U.S. Space Shuttle, keep the car's body from melting. Infrared sensors on either side of the car alert the driver if another vehicle is pulling alongside, and fiber optic high-intensity discharge headlights, along with an aggressive speed-deployable rear spoiler, give the GT90 a menacing demeanor. Flashing a sporty, low-profile look, the lines of the GT90 declare that this car was built for speed, and proclaims that Ford is once again a force to be reckoned with in the supercar business. Founded in a Detroit wagon factory in 1903, the same year that the Wright brothers flew at Kitty Hawk, the fledgling Ford Motor Company introduced its very first production automobile, the $850 two-cylinder Model A. Over 93 years later, Ford has produced a staggering 250 million vehicles worldwide, and has annual sales which exceed the gross national product of many industrialized nations. Many features which are taken for granted in today's cars were first introduced by Ford, including the first one-piece V8 engine, hydraulic shock absorbers, safety glass windshields, bumpers, automatic windshield wipers, tilt beam headlights, and self-starting engines. But the real story of Ford lies in the vehicles which captured the imagination of auto enthusiasts, such as the highly successful GT40 race car, the classic 1955 Thunderbird convertible, and the sensational Mustang series. Ford's presence also reaches into automotive racing, where its engines have led drivers to over 174 World Championship Grand Prix wins. With such a rich history, Ford has proven that it's capable of excellence on both the road and on the track. Intended as a intended as a new tech. Intended as a new technology and advanced design test bed, the Lotus GT1 is based upon the technology of its two-seat convertible progenitor, the Elise, and is the road-going version of Lotus's new GT race car. The GT1 road car is extremely lightweight, weighing an unprecedented 1,050 kilograms, but flaunts the same 350 horsepower V8 engine as the Lotus Esprit. Elegant in both form and function, the GT1 features many of Lotus's latest innovations, including a chassis made of epoxy-bonded aluminum extrusions and aluminum metal matrix brake discs. The GT1's low weight was achieved by using an aluminum chassis instead of traditional steel and making extensive use of simple single-part extrusions to reduce the number of car parts. Combined with these weight savings, the race-bred V8 engine allows the Lotus GT1 road car to rapidly accelerate to a top speed of 195 miles per hour. Founded by the late Colin Chapman in 1948, Lotus is one of the most eminent forces in racing history and automotive innovation. Colin Chapman's philosophy of high performance in a minimum package size with maximum material performance has led Lotus to at least 79 victories in some of international racing's most prestigious competitions, making it one of the most successful Grand Prix racing manufacturers of all time. Unique in that it does most of its own vehicle design and manufacturing in-house, Lotus has introduced such technological firsts as the Chapman strut suspension, the first twin chassis cars, and the first epoxy-bonded extruded aluminum chassis cars. Lotus has historically applied the advances learned from its vibrant racing heritage to produce some of history's most enjoyable road-going sports cars, and continues to push the envelope for both professional drivers and thrill-seekers alike. The Lotus 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 GT1 is based upon pursuing its goal of creating the ultimate road-going sports car. McLaren cars spared no expense and drew upon wins! Congratulations, you've won the race! You've got a top 10 time for this track.